Good morning, SML, and happy Friday. Welcome back to M&M in the Morning. Matt is not in here today, but joining me as a guest host, Dan. What's going on, Dan?
Hey, what's going on, guy? I'm really glad to sit in this seat. Honored to fill in for Matt. Just let me get it out of the way. PJ cannot build any teams. Dwayne Haskins is a superstar, and feet.
Yeah, okay. Is Matt really gone? I don't know.
Did I do a good job? Did I do all right there?
Yeah, I feel right at home.
Good.
All right, remind me, because I didn't look this up ahead of time. You were on an episode during last season, right?
Yeah, I was. If I remembered correctly, I was either maybe one game removed from my 5-game losing streak. I think I was pretty close to like right after the losing streak, and you guys were pretty kind to me. You guys weren't burying me, so hats off to you guys for doing a good job of predicting the turnaround. And yeah, that was just I think it was like week 6 or 7, sometime somewhere around there last year.
Yeah, I remember that. I think it was right after the Jared Goff trade.
Yeah. We talked about it. Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you may not realize this, but since that episode, you're on a 19-game regular season win streak, including 3 wins over the Chiefs. If we're going to count playoffs in there, you've won 21 out of the last 22 games, with 4 wins over the Chiefs. And you were just 1 point away from making the Super Bowl last year in a really good close game. What do you think changed between the first 5 weeks of last season and now the last 22 weeks of SML play?
Yeah, so little secret, I'm a numbers guy too, even though I don't try to make a big deal about it out in chat, and don't get the flack you get because you get all the stat kind of guys and stuff like that. But I keep track of that stuff too. I keep an eye on that stuff, and yeah, I knew that I've been on a pretty good hot streak, a long streak here. Actually, my only 2 losses, were bookend there by Bomber. So there's a combination of 2 things I think that happened. One is my goal into going into every game is I have to take away what the other team wants to do. So if another team is a run-oriented team, I want to take it away. If they're a pass-oriented team, I want to take it away. Whatever they're trying to do, I want to take it away. And the first 5 games last season, it was just hard for me to do that. I was struggling with it. I was getting frustrated. I felt like, the zones and different things weren't working well. And so part of it was getting in my own head. Part of it was just the way the game was playing. Then I made that Goff trade, and what that trade did, it just settled me down. I wasn't sitting there thinking, man, I got to use, Justin Herbert like, Mahomes or like Josh Allen or like some of these great quarterbacks, and I gotta get chunk plays, and I gotta make all these big things happening. And I just got back to saying, you know what, I just need to manage the game offensively, and I need to dominate defensively. So that's been my strategy since then. It's helped me a lot versus the Chiefs. Primes made 2 or 3 bad plays each game, and then I just don't make the bad plays, so then I get the advantage. Helped me against Faz because Faz threw a pick 6 and then he fumbled with Breida, and it really I was actually set up perfectly to beat Bomber too. I got the pick I needed off of Bomber in the 3rd quarter and was driving to go up 10 and called a bad play action, and he got a sack, and I had to settle for 6. And then on the next drive, I was doing pretty good with Chubb all game, and I got caught on a user switch before the snap and was out of place, and Chubb took it to the house. And then the next drive, I had 2nd and 1 at the 50-yard line and ran 3 straight plays and couldn't get a first down. I probably had one more shot. Bomber, called the wrong play, and I don't hold it against Bomber because I don't think he intended by any means, just a bad fortunate ending. So I blew a chance. Like, as much as I blew the chance against Dookie, as much as I over prepared against RD, I feel like I had the chance for the Super Bowl, at least to make it there, and blew it. But really, for guys that are listening and people out there, I mean, you really just got to simplify the game. I mean, you got to stick with the stuff you do well, and then once you start doing that well, then you got to give them a kind of a counter look. So what I've been talking to a few guys and DMs and stuff, and just saying, look, you do really good at this. Now show them the same look and do something different. Because once you start getting one dimensional in the SML, guys are going to start figuring you out. So that's would be my strategy or my tip for anybody is, if you want to win not just 4 or 5 games in a row, but if you want to win 10, 12 and extend a little bit longer, you've got to start doing what you do well, but then also now adding new looks to it so that you keep the other team off balance.
So I know most of the SML would probably consider you a true Super Bowl contender every single season, and rightfully so, but I don't think a lot of guys realize it's been 7 seasons now since you won your first Super Bowl, excluding the Dookie thing without a chance to follow it up too much. However, but in the last 19 games, you've been the best team in the league. I mean, easily. Bomber had that down stretch at the end of the last regular season, even though he went on a run in the playoffs. But, you throw out the first 5 weeks of last season, and all of a sudden now you're undefeated in the regular season. Do you think you stand a good shot at getting there with this rookie quarterback and, James Robinson and all that backing him up?
Yeah, so the AFC is loaded, and that's why I'm kind of even more annoyed last season that I didn't finish the deal, because I can't guarantee I'm going to get through the AFC again. You got obviously Faz Prime, you got Bomber. I think Spades, I think Smitty, I think Matt. I think you guys are all legitimately good players. DW even too. I mean, he's given Faz some hard games here and there. Any of you guys can rise up and win in the playoffs. So for me to go through Prime, Faz, and then should have beat Bomber, that to me was, I don't expect that to happen every season. So, my team is pretty young. I've got a young secondary. I got a young linebacker core. I've got a really young, obviously quarterback with a rookie. So I don't know if this is my year to do it. Some things have to fall in line still. I don't win by a lot. If you look at my win margins over this long streak, very few of my games are blowouts. I beat Mike in overtime. I beat Tiny because he missed an extra point. I beat Coop by 3. I don't win by a lot. So it's hard for me to say. And I think that's why I end up not winning more Super Bowls, honestly, is because I'm lacking. If I need to get better, I need to get more explosive. I need to get more dominant on the offensive end, because I leave a lot of games close and just hope for a defensive stop or game management. So I don't know. We'll see. Right now, my games, I haven't had to force my quarterback to do much. I run with Eckler. I got Robinson to split some of the carries, so it's not just an Eckler show. And then I rely on my defense. So at some point, my rookie quarterback's going to have to make a throw, and I'm not sure if he's ready to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about keeping games close, I'm sure unintentionally, but do you think it's just a game script thing? Because you're 7-0, but 6 of those wins have been by single digits, and the one that wasn't was over an 0-7 team. Because with that rookie quarterback, you haven't been doing anything spectacular with him. You're not playing poorly with him, but, just 12 yards per attempt, which is, I always think it's funny because that's crazy good for the NFL. But, in the SML, at least this last season, so maybe this cycle going forward, like that's probably about average. 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions as well from Jared Goff. I think, did he start week 1 or?
No, I played Goff the first time I played Prime because I was afraid of my rookie quarterback.
Oh, okay.
And then Goff throws 3 picks in that game, and I'm like, well, what's the point of playing Goff if he's going to throw the ball around like that? And he had some horrific. It was weird. Like, he just had some weird throws that game, and so I said, forget it. I'm just going with my rookie. But to your point, yeah, like you look at my numbers, and they're horrible. Like, I don't have a lot of defensive interceptions. I just got 4 off of Finn's, but before that, I only had 5 on the season. I only had, I think I've thrown 6 touchdown passes. Obviously, Eckler's doing really well, but my numbers aren't great. My win percentage isn't great. My margin of victory is not great. So, or my win percentage is good, but my margin of victory is not impressive. So, I have a lot to improve on. even though I'm going on the streak. And to the same regard, I think, anyone looking at me, I think they go into the game thinking, oh, I can beat him. No one goes in the game like they do with Faz, or they do with Bomber, and they're like, oh man, we're never going to stop, Josh Allen. We're never going to stop Chubb. Like, yeah, Eckler's great, but I don't think anyone's really scared about my offense. The problem, what people have to figure out is, okay, what am I going to do defensively to slow someone down, and how are they going to figure that out and adjust? So the thing I really like about Madden 22 after all the patches right now is you can do a lot of different things. You can blitz, you can play man, you can play zone. You can do a lot of different things, and that keeps the other team guessing, and so that's what I like about the game right now.
Yeah, so Matt likes to talk about the AFC's Big Four. That would be you, Prime, Bomber, and Faz. Me personally, yes, you guys are the four best teams in the conference for sure. Maybe in the league.
Yeah,
that's up for debate. But I really see it as like split into like two sub tiers in that level.
Mm-hmm.
I see at the moment Bomber and Faz as the two teams like everybody's like, oh damn, that's an instant loss. I'm not gonna, And then I see you and Prime, who have both had struggles at separate times of the season or this cycle, as guys like, well, I'm probably gonna lose, but there's a chance. Do you think that's accurate, or do you think it's more of just anybody can beat anybody?
No, I think it's accurate. So if you look at the way this Madden plays, I don't know if my best player obviously right now is Eckler. I don't know where you take him. Say you had a draft and you're just drafting the best players in the NFL or in Madden 22. Is Eckler a top 20 player? Like, maybe, but you're obviously starting out with like Lamar, Chubb, Allen, Mahomes. There's a ton of other guys that you're drafting before that. So I think when you look at some of those other teams, you've got some really dynamic Madden 22 players that really elevates them. I think what people look at me, they're like, well, there's nothing on his team I'm really, really scared of. But again, the thing I'm going to count on is that I'm going to outmanage you. I'm going to out strategize against you. And I think once Prime gets going, I think he'll be right there with Faz and Bomber. Now, my one hope is right now, if you look at my team, I think I have, out of my starting 11, I think I have 8, maybe it's 7 or 8 star developed guys under the age of like 24. So if I get a breakout or if I get a development bump there, my defense might just become incredible. So that might change the dynamics then. That might just give me the edge that I need to go on a Super Bowl run. But I also, and we talk about the Big Four, but I also think, again, like, there's not a big gap between you, Matt, Smitty, and Spades. Like, I think all those guys are legitimately right there as well too, and can very, very easily knock off any of the guys in the AFC. So the AFC is just, it's top heavy, but it's also the second tier is loaded pretty good too, which makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, we've made it like a talking point, like pretty much every episode, that the AFC is better, but yeah, so we won't get into that. But last thing I want to talk about on your team is the trade for James Robinson. I know you were talking in chat like, oh, James Robinson, he seemed like pretty decent in the few snaps that he got. He's getting about 6 carries a game, I'd say. Yeah, he's got 6 carries in both of the games that you've played with him.
Yeah.
How do you see him fitting in with Austin Eckler? Is Eckler the long-term play, or is Robinson going to eat into the snaps eventually? Because you're right, Austin Eckler is definitely the best guy on the team right now, other than maybe Keenan Allen, but that's just because he's stupid good in real life too. Eckler's 180 fantasy points according to Daddy Leagues through 7 weeks. That's just ridiculous. Maybe not Nick Chubb ridiculous, but I thought it was an interesting point where you said, is he a top 20 player? That I think that's a good range to put him in. I don't know if he really makes that top 20 because I'm thinking in terms of pure fantasy draft. You're gonna get guys that take those sexy players. Your Mahomes, your Tyreek Hill, your Travis Kelce, and then the other sexy players who aren't as good as those other guys. Your Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, Marquise Brown. I think Austin Eckler is right at the top of that next tier of not sexy guys, because he's a badass 94 speed running back with superstar abilities. Yes, the abilities leave some to be desired. I kind of feel for you on that one, but
well, actually, let me pause you on there. His abilities are really good for me. There might not be good for other people. So the mismatch one is great because I use him a lot for checkdowns. So he's always open for checkdowns. And then the spin one, 90% of the time I'm just going to try to run through you. But there's these random times that if I just once or twice a game hit a spin move on you, I can bust one. So they're actually not bad for me. Now he just got his X Factor and he got Satellite, which is the worst X Factor in all running backs. So that kind of stinks. But at least he's now an X Factor, so his regression will be a little bit slower. But yeah, to your point, he's not a sexy Madden player, but he fits my style really well. And that's why I went after James Robinson, because James Robinson, minus the speed, has everything that Eckler has as well too, as far as the kind of running back that I like. I like those bowling ball. I like those guys that can make one little cut and then just go, break a tackle or two, fall for a few extra yards. And so Eckler's 27, Robinson's 24. Robinson's already a star, so if I can start working him in, maybe I get a dev game with him just out of luck. If Eckler ever goes down, I've got a substitute that fits my style. I've got two other running backs on my team I really like, Hawkins and Calais, but they're scat backs, they're speed guys, they're not power guys. So I really wanted to go after a power guy, and pretty much just said, like, look, I'm all in this year. I want to try to make a long run, and the one thing that would hurt this team the most is if Eckler gets hurt, I need a replacement for him. So that's kind of why I went after Robinson, and I think I've got 3 more years with Eckler and Robinson, and then I'll have to figure out what do I do after that.
I didn't realize Raymond Clay was on your team again. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, he's my kick returner this year, and he's kind of that little scat back if I ever need him. He doesn't do much for me right now.
Yeah, so I don't have to tell you this, but Austin Eckler is not trade eligible for the duration of his contract. He wouldn't be until 2 years after his contract ends. So what's your long-term plan? Is that for Robinson to become the starter after Eckler is gone, or maybe re-sign Eckler, or what's your plan for that one?
Yeah, I'll see what happens. If Robinson picks up a speed burst or two, gets to 88, then I think I can use him on a regular down. If he picks up some abilities, maybe he gets tank. If he gets tank, then I'll use him. Gets bruiser, I'll use him, kind of thing. But it's kind of just a 3-year plan. Even though I signed Robinson for 5 years, I figured the next 3 years I can use both of them, and then I'll just see what plays out, how the game shapes and turns, and who's getting signed in drafts, and what does the draft class look like with running backs. Like last year, there was a massive running back classes kind of in like season 3 to season 6, and so maybe I do something like that. I don't know. It just to me that's going to be my offense moving forward is just pounding the ball and then countering what defenses are trying to do against me. So I want to stay true to that. I got 2 running backs I think that can do that now.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I mean, that running back stable might be the best in the league if you don't count Nick Chubb as an entire stable. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the crowded playoff pictures. Not so much the top of the divisions, but let's talk wild card. In the AFC, we've got, doing quick math here, we got 8 teams within 1 game of the top wild card spot. And then in the NFC, there are 12 teams with 3 or 4 wins. 12 teams have 3 or 4 wins through like 7 weeks and a couple of bye weeks. That's crazy. That's
It
so
is, yeah.
everybody has like mushed on into the middle there. Just as like an oversight thing, that's what we've been trying to get at in the SML for years. And I think we're finally to a point now where we're going to start seeing less and less division between not even just the top and the bottom, but like the middle and the bottom. I mean, that's 12, that's 20 teams that have like at least 3 or 4 wins.
I think it's great.
Crazy.
I think it's exciting. I think you look at the AFC side. I think, between Matt, you, Smitty, Spades, maybe even throw Coop in there. Who knows, even ZZ. Like, it's going to be fun just kind of watch all those races develop and then see what tiebreakers really are going to matter. I think last year, the number for the AFC was 11-6 got you in. And we saw kind of barely there were some tiebreakers there. But I think this year, it's going to be more 10-7 will get you in with tiebreakers. So it's going to be kind of fun to watch that. We joke around with Prime a little bit, sitting there. I think at he's now 3-3, or maybe he's 4-3, but somewhere around there. He still has he's still got Dump. He still has Paulie. He still has Faz on his schedule. He's still got 2 games with Smitty on his schedule. So. His game against this Mike, that we're recording before it, but he just can't drop one because there's so many people around there. So I think that's kind of fun to see. Now on the NFC side, it's just crazy, and we're seeing almost from week to week. Shout out to Dump on an impressive win against Faz. I think that's a win that Dump needed to get his confidence and to kind of shut some people up as far as, is he a top dog or is he just kind of ran and hit in the NFC, and he comes out and he beats Faz. So good job there. But, is QP really the top of the NFC now? I mean, he's had some games where he struggled. Clink's sitting there, but then, Clink just got blown out by Spades. I mean, not even close. It was like put up a 50 spot on him. You got Tiny and kind of benefiting a little bit from Grams and NYT traveling and being when they get back home, or is Tiny going to stay on top there? Paulie's sitting there, out of the playoff race. Is he going to make a run? D Muse has the talent, but can he get it together? It's we don't know too much about Monty with the Packers, although he had some good wins, but he had some weird kind of game management stuff where he's trying to kneel against Tiny, and I don't know what that was all about. But so it's just fun. It's just every single week. It's just you don't know what's going on, and I think it's really going to push to week 16, 17, 18, and then not only those are going to be fun, but then we jump into the playoffs, and I think every game it's going to be a battle, going to be fun, and that's what you want in the SML.
I think in the AFC there is legitimately 14 teams that could make the playoffs. Maybe 13, but I really think there's 14 different teams in the AFC that could make the playoffs. And if it weren't for the AFC South, that number would be lower. But I'm considering all 4 of those guys in the AFC South as potential to win that division. And then really, I don't think the Bengals have what it takes to win the division or to make a wild card run, and I don't see that for the Broncos either. They're going to take 6 losses in the division, or 5, but
well, he's 0-7, and I think I don't think Fins is going to run off 11 or 10 straight. So sorry, Fins, but I think we might be able to count you out this season.
Yeah, Fins also has the worst point differential, negative 113.
Yeah.
And then in the NFC, I mean, man, it's really interesting to see guys like Figs and Tiny, who have both made the playoffs before, scooch up into that playoff picture. You got guys like Colton, who I don't think have made the playoffs before, but are definitely talented enough to do so.
Colt made the playoffs in Madden 20 because I played him. when he
Okay.
was Arizona. I don't think he ever made it in 21, but in 20 he made it.
I remember that. Yeah, I know Colton better from other leagues, and he's winning
Gotcha.
10, 12 games in those other leagues. So, and then you have a question mark with the Packers, like you were talking about. I believe in them if they can clean it up. Bonnie's got to clean it up. His biggest issue from the games that I've watched and the game that I played against him was just he gets kind of reckless throwing the ball. He's a much better runner than he is passing. And if he can just clean up the turnovers, I think he's going to turn in from a 500 team into, a potential 12-win team.
Has he played QP yet? I haven't paid attention.
Let me check. I have Daddy Leagues pulled up right now.
Yeah.
He has, and he lost by 3.
Okay, that's a good game though.
Let's see. He lost by 4 to Faz, 3 to QP. He tied with Rice. Only beat Tiny by 6. Blew KJ out. Blew ZZ out. And then dropped a stinker on me, and I beat him by 15.
Yeah, he's just all over the map. He's pretty much sums up the NFC. You just don't know, like, is a guy like that going to go on a run, or is he going to kind of fade into the background? Even looking at Future, did Future made the playoffs last year, right?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, and now he's sitting there at 3-4. So, I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be wild. Pretty much the same thing on the AFC and the NFC side. You've got 2 teams that are only out of it, like the Giants and the Falcons. We can probably write off and say they're pretty much done for this season, but everybody else has a shot, which makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, what I think the Pack was going on with the Packers is it's growing pains of the new quarterback in Mac Jones. The Patriots fell to 32 in the team draft, and I want to say a large part of that was because of Mac Jones. If they had gotten a Justin Fields, they would have gone super early, I think.
Yeah.
And now the Packers come out here and they trade for Mac Jones. They trade away Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Love was traded away by the previous owner. So you kind of got like a full rebuild at the quarterback position here. I don't know if he is convinced that Mac Jones is going to be the long-term play here. And honestly, I think a guy like Daniel Jones would be more fitting here because Daniel Jones has a little bit higher upside in terms of, Madden ratings and on the field play. Not to mention he's got the speed that Mac Jones just does not have. Yeah. So you can be more flexible. I talked about this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the whole should you draft a quarterback if you suck at passing thing. And I was like, for guys that are not very good at passing, get a guy with some speed, and at least then you have the flexibility to get out of the pocket and throw it away.
Right.
And Mac Jones just really doesn't have much of that. So I don't know if he's the answer long term.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that was the direction he went. I don't mind the trading of Rodgers because, again, we don't know if Rodgers is going to retire. He's not going to retire, but then to come back with Mac Jones because, as you mentioned, he's not fast. He also his throw power is weak, and so you can get away, I think, with one or the other. You can have a slow quarterback but have good throw power, or if you can have low throw power and a quick quarterback. But it's hard to get away with both of those things being low. So, he's got a great defense. The Packers team is a good, solid team. He's got a good running back. He's got the good defense, so he can win. But you gotta shift your style, your gameplay, and like you said, he's made some questionable game decisions, management decisions, and you can't win when you're not on cue with those game decisions.
Okay, and let's now flip sides of the AFC. Do you think the Colts are going to run away with the AFC South? They've looked solid. I didn't see who their wins were. I can look that up real fast.
Yeah, I played Mike in the first week, and he tore me apart with David Carr. Just David or Derek. I'm sorry, date myself there. Derek Carr, and just tore me apart. I thought he played really well and did good. And then, what's kind of been Mike's kind of problem is he'll play one of those great games, then he'll come back with a dud. And so I think he threw like 7 interceptions against Tiny. And you look at that, and how does that work? Like, how do one game I think he might have like thrown at least close to 400 yards against me, no INTs, and then a few weeks later he throws 7 INTs to Tiny. And so I think Mike has the most upside when he's playing well, but he's got to find that consistency. I like Coop's team the best out of everybody. I think ZZ's playing the best with the limited amount of talent he has, and Fields is just, I think his schedule is just biting him in the butt right now, and he's kind of checked out a little bit right now. So I think Mike's going to win it, but with the inconsistencies, he might leave room for Coop and ZZ to hang around.
Yeah, I think the winner of this division is definitely going to be better than last year's winner. We had a 2-way tie at 7-10 last year.
Yeah.
I think Mike, if he can avoid going 3-7 or whatever, however many games he has left, then he should be fine. I think he can do that. His schedule doesn't look that tough. I do think with a 1.5 lead already, he probably is off to a pretty good start. And he's already got a big win over the Jaguars. So, I think I'm going to take the Colts right now to win that division.
Yeah.
All right. And, all right. So, I don't have any real direction here to go. So, let's pick our 3 wildcard teams out of the scrap heap, and we'll go from there.
Ooh, all right. So, I'm going to go Chiefs, Ravens. Oh man, and it's going to be you, Raiders, and Matt. I'm on your show. I'm going to be nice. I'll pick you. I'll pick you a 7th seed.
Thank you. I'll give you some extra bonus points on first goal.
Excellent. On the NFC side, I'm going to assume Clinky's going to win the division, so I'm going to go Paulie. I'm going to go D-Muse, and then I'm going to go I'm going to give the old man Woods a shot. I think Woods is going to sneak in there. So I'm going to go Paulie, D-Muse, and Woods.
Okay, I'm going to completely contradict one thing that you just said. I don't think Clink is going to win the division. I don't.
Okay.
And yes, he beat me last season, I believe. No. I don't know. I feel like I've played him, but I haven't. I don't know. All my losses run together.
See, you got to remember the losses. The losses is what you learn from. You got to remember why you lose so that you don't do it again.
It's true, but sometimes you just get into one of those bury the tape games.
Sure. I've had those.
So I don't think the Saints are going to win the division. I think Paulie has a higher upside than Clink does.
He has a tough schedule, though. Paulie's got to play dump. He's got to play prime. He's got some tough games that Clinky doesn't. Now, I play Clink, so that maybe neutralizes the prime game, but he's got a tough schedule.
That's all good and all, but I just think the Bucs have a better team. I think they have a better owner, and Paulie doesn't really make much mistakes when he's throwing the ball or on offense in general.
Paulie also has playoffs in his high school team, so if that runs long too, that's chopping away some of his time.
Oh, that's true. Well, I mean, we should be in the play. I don't know. I don't think high school playoffs would go that long, right? I mean, playoffs here would probably
depending how far they go. He could go like for Pennsylvania, they'll go into the first week of December.
Oh wow. Okay, well then maybe it will.
Yep.
I always thought, well, my high school team sucks, so whatever. Okay, so no, I'm going to take the Bucs over the Saints. I do think the Saints will get in. I think they're going to be one of my wild card teams. I think D-Muse is going to get in because if he can avoid his highs and lows, he's on a 3-game winning streak, so if he can just stay on a good streak here going forward, I think he puts himself in a good spot. And I'm going to go with a little bit of the unknown. I'm going to go with Monty just because I liked what I saw out of him in the game that I played against him. despite beating him, I think he is probably better than me when he's on top of his game, which he was not the other night. But
yeah,
you might as well just change the G in the Packers logo to a big question mark, because that's what we got for it. And I may now go Photoshop that and release that after this episode drops. In the AFC, yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs. There's no way that they're going to miss the playoffs. Not again. That happened one time, like, that I can remember, and it will never happen again, probably. And if he does, we're going to need a new commissioner.
Yeah. Let me just say, I mean, Prime had a lot of fun in season 1 when I was 0-5 talking about playoffs too. So if he starts sniffing towards, that bottom half of that playoffs, man, we're going to have a lot of fun with that. So I don't forget these things, Prime. So, you enjoyed it season 1 when I was 0-5, but hey, it's coming back around for you, buddy.
Spades is an interesting guy because he started 9-2 last season when he was taking over as interim. He started 4-0 this year. Now he's taken 3 straight losses. Yesterday were to the Bills, the Browns, and the Steelers, which are not like bad losses. Right. Not even losing to the Steelers is a bad loss. But he did just drop 50 on the Saints. So I think I guess I got to take the Ravens, because I think he's better than that 4-3 record that he has right now. Yeah. So the Ravens will be my second wild card team. And it's going to be boring, but I have to pick myself, I guess, right? I looked at my schedule when the schedule came out. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to win 7 games this season. But as schedules tend to do, they often get easier as the season goes on versus what you think they are at the start of the season. At least in my case, that's what I feel like. I looked at my schedule. I think it was probably in week 2. I was 0-2, and I'm looking at my schedule. I'm like, dang, I could legitimately only win 2 games this season. It's obviously I've already won 3, so that's not going to happen. I beat the Packers, who I didn't expect to beat. I beat the Vikings, who I didn't expect to beat.
Do you play Matt?
I do. We play week 9, so that'll be a good one.
Yeah. Well, wait, is that one of Matt's games that he's away?
I don't think so. No, because that week 8 should be this weekend, and I think Matt gets back for week 9, and that'll be unless we advance early, that'll be Sunday to Tuesday. So yeah, I think that actually will be a pretty pivotal game because that gives tiebreakers. So I think between you and Matt, that could be almost a semi-playoff game. Shout out to Duck Kings. That's the Duck Kings game of the week for week 9.
Oh, nice. Nice.
I do have the Patriots in week 8. They did beat me week 1. But that tie kind of eliminates the need for a tiebreaker. It's just going to come down to head-to-head record. So that's a big game too. I am confident going up against the Jets twice. I am going to lose to the Bills. Probably lose to the Lions. And the Browns. But other than that, I feel like I can compete in all of my games. Oh, and I got you on my schedule too.
I was going to say, you forgot one there, Meats. Come on,
hey,
man.
That Chargers logo is so thin, my eyes skipped right over it to the fat Browns head.
But that's what I told you earlier on. Everyone looks at me and they're like, oh, I'm not too worried about that game. I'm not worried about that game. And
yeah, I'm not.
You've played me. Yeah, you've played me good. Like, I think we played what, 2 times last year? You beat me once, and the other game came down to like the last play, so...
I don't have my spreadsheet pulled up, or I'd tell you, but
no, I remember because I purposely let you catch it underneath, and I tackled you at the 2.
Oh, I remember that.
And then the clock ran out. But the second game you beat me, you threw like one of the craziest passes I've ever seen in the back corner of the end zone that I thought, no way you're going to throw it. And I
remember that.
And see, you got to remember these things.
I do.
That improves you.
Hey, listen, I've played like 400 games in the SML at least. Okay, so some of them are gonna get lost.
All right.
Yeah, but I mean, other than those 4 games, I think I'd probably be favored in all of them. Between the Patriots, Steelers, Jets twice, Bengals, maybe the Ravens. We'll see. That should be a really good late season game. And then the Bears week 18. I mean, even that'll be a really good final week of the season, and who knows, that game could decide who goes to the playoffs or not.
Well, I think the Ravens and Steelers games are the ones you gotta put on your calendar, because those are going to be the ones that probably decide your fate.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers and Browns have probably already won the division, not officially, but
Yeah.
And the Bills have already won the division, and I'm probably not going to be competing for the division title this season, so that game is like, all games matter, but as far as division games go, that one really doesn't matter. So yeah, I don't know. I feel confident I can win 10 games, and we'll see if that's good enough to get in, especially if I can beat the Steelers and the Ravens. I feel like it should be, but we'll see.
You should be good. And I think that those are those are going to be the ones that are a lot of fun to, put a little extra pressure on you and put pressure on the other guy, and that's what makes the SML great, is that not everyone's guaranteed playoffs, and you got to win these big games, and the regular season matters. It's not just falling asleep and then wake me up for the playoffs, but you got to actually win the games to get to the playoffs, which is a great place to be in.
Yeah, I got to agree, because it's really like, for a long time, I think I made the playoffs like 20 straight seasons or something like that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I don't feel like I've personally regressed. I think the rest of the league has gotten better to the point now where I'm not going to coast to 12 wins a season or 11 wins a season, and the only games that really matter are division games.
Right.
It's kind of like every single game matters now, which I like, because that's how it is in the SML. Obviously, you're still going to have your guys that go 0-17 or 17-0. That's going to happen in every league no matter what.
Yep.
But just what we talked about earlier, the middle of the league is just everybody's on the same playing field. You might say the top of that is better than the bottom, obviously, but it's not by much. It's really not. And even at the end of the season, when it comes down to it, a guy with 11 wins is probably not that much better than a guy with 6 wins.
Correct. For the most part, yep. It's just like, you look at DW with what he did last season was great, and now we haven't even mentioned his name for the playoffs here. So that's just kind of how that middle ground can kind of flip and turn one season to the next, which is a lot of fun.
I think DW is also a product of getting another playoff contender in the division to make it now 4 teams that have to be fighting for 3 spots. Well, I guess technically all 4 in a division could get in. That'd be interesting. It'll never happen, but it could. I've lost my train of thought.
Just add this too, though, just because he's not here and he can't argue with me or tell me, how bad he is or how much he stinks. But Matt's getting a lot better. So if you notice the last few games he's played, he's figuring out defense. He's learning how to eliminate some of his mistakes. He could have beat Faz. He was right there with Faz. He beat Raiders. He beat the Ravens. Matt's going to turn this around, and he's going to be pushing for playoffs. If you go ahead.
No, I agree. We're going to learn a lot about the Steelers over the course of their next 4 games. Browns, Dolphins, Patriots, Colts. You'd think you need to win 2 of those to be taken seriously.
Well, he's going to lose the Browns game. That's a CPU game.
Oh, okay.
So he's got it. Yeah, I agree. He's if he doesn't win 2, he's done. If he wins 3, he has the shot there of making a late push for the playoffs.
I don't know if you can say that he's done if he falls to, what would that be, 6-5, but he does have the Browns again in the second half of the season, the Saints and the Buccaneers, not to mention DW and the Jets. So I don't know. You got to win at least 2 of the next 4, preferably 3 for the Steelers.
Well, the thing that would be great is I hope he wins them all except for that one game he needs to win, and Dwayne Haskins airballs a pass, and he's got to admit how bad of a quarterback Dwayne Haskins is. So
he just chucks it right to J.C. Jackson for a game-sealing interception, and a death blow and a tiebreaker for the Patriots and Steelers.
Come on, Meats. You got to know these rosters a little bit better. You don't know that the Steelers traded for J.C. Jackson? J.C.
Jackson is never on the Patriots, and I always think that he is. He's I don't care who the Patriots owner is. He's the first move that they make every single cycle.
Yeah, I'm not sure there because he's a good quarterback. I thought that was a good move from Matt to do that, but nothing would make me happier than to see Matt's playoff hopes die because Dwayne Haskins misses a pass or sells one when he needs them the most.
No, Stephon Gilmore's still on that team. In my head, I think he's on the Panthers, but that's just because he is real life. I mean, Matt likes to talk about PJ, and he nuked the Pats for apparently 5 seasons after he was gone. But then I just thought it was funny. He turns around and he's like, you know what? I didn't get to play with J.C. Jackson last season. I get to do it this season.
Yeah.
And he trades for J.C. Jackson. So,
and I like all the moves Matt's making. I think he's doing wise. I think he's even smart by not overselling for the quarterback. But there's a big gap between overselling and then settling for Dwayne Haskins when, Matt Stafford was a free agent. Derek Carr was available for like a second or third, and Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. Like, there's so many decent quarterbacks that are available. He could have gotten one pretty decently, but stubbornly, man, he's gonna sit there and he's gonna ride Haskins.
And he's got Najee, and everyone makes fun of him because he's like, oh, you can't throw. I mean, well, he can kind of throw, but he's not been throwing it well. He's 5 touchdowns, 14 interceptions this season. 32 touchdowns, 33 interceptions last year in the Jameis Winston club. Yeah. I don't hate the numbers.
So wait, what was that again? That was 5? You said 5 touchdowns, 14 interceptions?
Yes, sir.
And he's trying to defend Haskins? Come on, Matt. Like, I know you're going to be, freezing your butt off, and you're going to be, drinking and doing all, whoever knows that, the Badgers and Packers game. But come on, Matt, you got to do better than that. 5 touchdowns and 14 interceptions, and you're going to defend Haskins. Come on.
All right, man, you're going to get us a copyright infringement with chasing the Stones. I don't hate Dwayne Haskins' numbers. 88 throw power, that's fine. Tua was 88 to start the season. Yep. Short accuracy 80, medium 83, deep 78, leaves a little to be desired. That overall takes a hit because he's only got 66 awareness. 78 speed's not ideal, but it's there. Throw under pressure 75. So
that's his problem right there.
It could get better, but normal
it won't, though, because he's 25 years old, so it won't get better. That throw under pressure is why you're throwing the air and passes, you're throwing the air ball type thing. So that's got to be at least 80. That's the goal. And if you're 25 years old, you're not going to develop. There's no point of even trying to work with a guy because he's just going to, anytime someone gets in his face, he's going to make a bad throw.
Well, the bright side for Haskins is that he's on a 5-year deal, but that 5-year deal is only worth like $15 million. So it's not like a handicapping thing. I understand wanting to stick with the cheaper quarterback, but in my head, I'm like, okay, if I'm trying out a quarterback, he's got 2 seasons to get a dev boost, or I got to move on because 25 normal dev. If he doesn't get a dev boost this season, he'll be 26, still normal, probably still around 70 overall. And it's just like at that point, your growth potential is severely limited.
Yeah, there's just no plan with him. I mean, he's too old. He doesn't have the right numbers. He's not fast. He can't throw far, and he's not going to develop. So move on. All
right. Well, speaking of that, let's move on. And Matt's not here, but you're going to do Matt's picks for the Lock 'em In segment. So let's start with week 9. And yes, I know we picked for week 8, and we're not in week 8 yet, or we will be as of last night, I guess, when this releases. But we're going to start with picks for week 9, and you're the guest, so I'll let you go first.
All right, so I've got some guaranteed stone cold locks here. Looking across week 9, there's a lot of good games. Week 9 is a marquee kind of week in SML, but I'm going with probably the biggest game. The top 2 teams in the AFC battling out. I'm going Bomber is going to beat Faz, and I think he's going to beat him by more than double digits.
Jeez. Okay, so a double-digit win for the Browns over the Bills. That's pretty bold, because I don't see the Browns as a here I'm gonna score 50 points on you, even though they have that high-powered offense.
Yeah. Did you see how many points Faz just gave up to dump?
Yeah, that's a fair point. And the Bills don't have a great defense anyway. I don't know. I think Faz
Nick Chubb's going to run for 250 yards and 5 touchdowns.
You know, I thought I was going to take Faz, but you know what? I think you're right, because I think it's a bad matchup for Faz. And I guess we'll find out in week 9. All right, on my flip side, I'm going to take a huge wild card battle in the NFC. I'm taking the Bears over the Eagles, and I think the Bears, who made the playoffs last season, just have more potential, and they're both sitting at 3-4 right now. I just think the Bears are a better team. I think Future is better than Tiny, as much as I love Tiny. I love you. Don't hate me. Or do hate me. I don't care. Whatever. I just think the Bears are better, and they're going to win in week 9.
Tiny's a tough team. I mean, he's put up some really just weird scores, so it's hard to predict who's going to come out. But I like it. I think Future's a good, solid player. So I'd rather take consistency over a guy that's up and down.
Tiny is definitely inconsistent as hell, and not even just this season. Like in his SML career, he once won the AFC South in a division with Prime. I never that still to this day blows my mind. I'm like, he was the Titans and he won a division with Prime in it.
Was Tandy his quarterback?
That I think so. I don't know. That might have been pre-Tannehill.
Okay.
That was like season 1, I guess 2 years ago. So no, I guess he was on the team.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to week 10. I'll let you go first again.
All right, I going with another marquee matchup, week 10. In the NFC this side, though, we got 2 of the top teams we project in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Detroit Lions. I'm going Paulie and figuring out how to slow down QP and that offense. I got Paulie winning in a close one, 3 points over QP and the Lions.
I don't have much to say about that. I think it's an upset for sure. I think QP, people probably look at him as a clear-cut favorite in the NFC, but not so much anymore because he's taken those 2 losses. So, yeah, I think it's a good pick. I think there's potential there. I'd probably have to disagree with the outcome, though. I did actually, you know what? That was actually my first choice looking at my spreadsheet that I wrote down before we started. I was going to lock in the Lions. And just for that reason, I'm going to lock in the Lions. I was going to lock in a different team, but I'm locking in the Lions.
All right, we'll see how it comes. I'll bet Matt's life savings on it.
I think. Well, I don't need all his feet picks. I think that was. I think this might be the first head-to-head lock that we've had on the series, so that'll be fun. All right, moving on to week 11.
Yeah, week 11, I'm going with kind of one of those middle-of-the-road kind of battles that are going to kind of decide some people's playoff fates. And I've got the Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm going to count on Grams being home. And when Grams is home, not meaning home Dallas, I'm meaning actually in his home playing at his PlayStation, he's going to beat Tiny and the Eagles and kind of put a nail in Tiny's playoff hopes.
I certainly hope so, because I will just be depressed for him if he doesn't. I will wipe my tears with all of his money. All right. Okay, so this is going to look like a running theme, but when I was making my picks here, I think 3 out of the 4 weeks, I had one outcome of the Bears game picked. Or maybe all 4 weeks. But I kept seeing that the Bears have some good games the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to go back to that Bears game for week 11, and I'm going to take the Seahawks over the Bears. I'm gonna regret this. I know it, because I've already gone on my high horse about how I don't believe in Noel, but I'm giving him a chance now. He's
Noel's back. Noel's back.
He's 5-2. He's going up against a playoff team from last season. I'm gonna lock in the Seahawks, and if you betray me, I'm out forever. That's the wager I'm making. All right, moving on to week 12.
All right, week 12. I'm maybe picking up your vibe here because I was picking the Bears Saints game here as I think going to be a pivotal matchup. If the Saints want to win the division, they got to win these games. If Bears want to make a wild card, they got to beat the Saints. So I think it's going to be a good game. But I'm going Clink, and the Hardman show is going to continue on while he tosses 4 touchdowns to McCall Hardman, and the Saints are going to win by double digits over Future.
You've been on your Clink high horse this episode, so I think that's a good pick. I think I'd have to agree with you on that one. I do think the Bears they're in a bunch of good games. I think they're probably going to win at least 2 of them. For my sake, I hope it's this one, but no, I do think the Saints are going to win this one. And for my pick, it took me a while to pick for week 12 because there's a bunch of good games. You could look at the Browns and Ravens. You could go to Cardinals, Buccaneers. You could look at Chiefs, Bills. I mean, there's a ton of good games. And for that reason, I'm going to a not good game. I'm going to the 49ers and Jets. And
okay.
It could be a good game. They're both 3-4. Both, I think Figs is probably exceeding expectations right now, and DW is not living up to them. I think DW gets back on the right track, and I'm going to take the Jets.
Okay. I thought, Figs said he was going to win 11 games, so he's actually behind a little bit on what he thought he was going to do. So,
well, his expectations, that doesn't mean everybody else's.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great game because again, you got 2 owners that you could each kind of make a case for why they'll win, and you can make a case for why they're going to lose. And both of them are fun to watch. So I think that's actually a good game, and I'm going to side with you on that as well too. I think DW figures some things out. I think he's going to win that game.
I mean, I know I'm saying this like 12 hours after watching the 49ers just completely dismantle the Eagles, but I can't in my good conscience pick the 49ers when I have their first round pick. So
yeah. Is that hard watching Figs having a good season when you have his pick?
Yes, it is, but I still have my hopes up. I saw him pick up that 3rd win, and I'm like, okay, well, on the bright side, there's 14 teams with 3 wins. So
yeah. I did the same thing when I had the Rams last season. Almost every advance, I was checking out what he was doing, and every time he lost, I had a little bit bigger smile. So I understand how that goes.
Well, I think Figs won like what, five games last season, and he still ended up with a top 10 pick. So if he does that again, I'll be happy. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. As for DW, I think he's got to use this game as a must-win game, because if he loses his game, his season's over. It doesn't matter what he does before or after, but this is a make or break game. Yeah,
those are wins he can't afford to lose.
That's just poetic the way you put that. All right, guys. Dan, I almost called you Matt. Dan, do you have anything else to add?
That's right. No. I love what you guys are doing on Mike and Mike. I did that last time I was on. I want to call you Mike and Mike.
I think one week we're just gonna have to have Mike and NYT come on and just do the episode themselves.
Just do Mike and Mike.
Just me and Matt, just not in it.
M&Dan in the morning, you guys do a good job, and appreciate the different topics, the different things. I still give you credit for the fantasy stuff that's going on. I think that's a huge add-on to SML.
I'll take the credit.
I'm glad to be able to be here and just talk shop a little bit, talk a little bit about how the game plays and team building and concepts and all that stuff. So, Matt, if you're out there and you're listening, hopefully you are. Have a good weekend, man. Enjoy that time, but get back soon so we can see you and Meats going head to head. The M&M. What'd you call it? Not Spades, but who's doing the dunk? Is it Dunkface is doing the FanDuel?
Yeah, him and Rice, the Duck Kings.
All right, the Dunk Kings. So a little shout out to those guys. Week 9, big matchup between Steelers and the Dolphins. So excited for that.
And if Matt isn't listening to this, he's off the show permanently. All right, guys.
Yeah. Like, how long do you give him before he comments like great show? Like, I assume by noon on Friday. If you don't respond by noon on Friday, what's that?
I would assume noon on Friday.
Yeah, nothing later than noon on Friday because you're now on East Coast time. So noon by Friday. If you do not tell us good show, I don't. We're gonna do something to you. I haven't figured out what, but we're gonna do something to you.
Yeah, I will mail you a picture of Prime's feet. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, Dan. Thanks for coming on with me.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.